my information. Let me close this blind, see if it's maybe not so bright. Okay, so take 2 like they do in Hollywood. Okay, today's information I feel needs to be discussed because we as a people on a planet and Mother Gaia as that planet have ascended. I feel like things are happening whether you're really an active member of someone who says, yes, I'm working really hard at Ascension, or if you're more of a observer, bystander, like, I don't know what the Ascension is or why she's even talking about this. There's things that happen and have been happening atmospherically in the universe, on the planet for a long time, more than a decade, that had began all of our ascension process at a cellular level. So historically, science only ever discusses the 2-strand DNA helix, and they consider the other 10 of 12 strands of DNA that we all have as junk DNA. And I come from a medical background and never really questioned it until recently. And when I say recently, I mean like the last couple of years. What does that junk DNA, like, why are there 10 strands of DNA that science is saying doesn't really do anything for us? Well, that's not true. That DNA is crystalline DNA. It's encoded with our divine playbook, the blueprint that is from Source Creator. It is waiting to be activated in a crystalline form, and it lays right next to our carbon-based DNA that we're all taught about. So people will and do activate DNA strands at a different rate, depending on who they are and what they've done and what they've been exposed to in their life. So there are things that actively affect those latent DNA. And the 2 main things that I want to speak about is the higher frequencies that are now measured in the Schumann Resonance, those solar flashes that come from the sun, the CMEs, and that higher frequency all play a role in the cellular development of our latent DNA. So that Schumann Resonance started in 2012. The baseline hertz frequency is just under 8. In the last 18 to 20 some odd months, it's been averaging over 30 a day. And in the last 6 months, we've had multiple days where we have multiple large flashes, large amounts of energy that are coming through that are getting transmuted through those cells. So again, it has an effect on our DNA. Now, it also gives you ascension symptoms. So you'll probably have heard talk about the solar flash, talk about solar flashes, talking about, well, if you feel extra heavy today, or you feel fatigued, or you have a headache, that's from the solar flashes. But what they're leaving out is those are ascension symptoms as well. So as your DNA is being activated and your frequency is rising, you get ascension symptoms. What are ascension symptoms? The most common ones, it's a pretty long list, but the most common ones are dizziness, headache, fatigue, ears ringing, electrolyte imbalances, and back pain. Now, a lot of people will just have excuses or reasons why this is something that they're encountering, because ignorance is bliss, and we don't ever think about it being bigger than what it really is. But ascension symptoms are what we've been feeling as a result of the solar flashes, because it is ascending our DNA. It is ascending our matter in our body. So again, whether you've been an active role, an active member of, I really want to do everything I can to ascend, as a population, as part of the collective on the planet or not, that work is being transmuted in your cells at the cellular level. Recently, there's been a lot of energy that's come in, and everyone has ascended to the point now where we have the ability to have direct access to our higher self and source creator. So when people say, oh, speak to my higher self, I checked with my higher self or whatever, the requirement to be able to do that is you have to have had 10 of 12 strands of DNA activated. Now, up until recently, that was an individual evolution. But we have transmuted so much energy as a planet, as a people, that everyone has 12 of 12 strands of DNA activated now. Now we're at a level playing field. Now, whether you really want it to or not, we're here. You have the ability to transmute that energy at a faster pace because your frequency is higher. And you can talk to your higher self, which is a direct connection to source. So everybody who grew up in the churches will know the term the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit is your higher self, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Your higher self is a direct connection from you, your consciousness, to source creator. There is no ability to sway you or have an agenda or manipulate you when it comes to your higher self. It is yeses and nos. It's a true north. It is guidance where we've never had the ability to have true guidance before, unless you had at least 10 of 12 strands of DNA activated and you had a direct connection to source creator. Now, some people have had that ability. Some people have been able to talk to their true higher self, but a lot of people that have been talking to something that they thought was their true higher self was a trickster higher self. Real thing. And sometimes it's not always nefarious. Sometimes it's been a guide who wanted to help you, but knew, until you got those DNA strands activated, you weren't going to be able to direct connect to your higher self and source. And so they were kind of pitch hitting. But other people have had some nefarious actors in there pretending to be your higher self and guiding you the way that they wanted you to go. So when someone says, oh, my higher self is kind of sassy, or my higher self has an attitude, or whatever, your higher self doesn't have the ability to be sassy or have an attitude. Your higher self is a yes or a no. You can ask your higher self questions, and depending on the abilities that you were born with, like myself, I was born with claircognizant. I just know things. Some people are clairvoyant. I have some of that too. Some people are clairaudient. They hear things. And some are clairsentient. They feel. So depending on that ability, you can, have a conversation like, my higher self, what message does source creator have for me? And you will hear it, sense it, feel it that way, in a kind of a message form. But it's still unfiltered, I would say. It's a yes or a no, or it's just a word, a thought. And there's not a personality linked to it, I would say. So I'm going to link in the description box the web address that you can go back and look at the Schumann Resonance historical values and see how that trajectory has gone up for time. I'm going to also link, I had done a video on this prior, months back. I'm going to link that video as well. And I also have one on my Rumble channel where all my videos are. If you follow me, you'll see them about talking to your true higher self. And it shows you how you can use a pendulum, or you can use your fingers for yeses and nos. And I think that's just valuable information, especially now that everybody has the ability to do that. So if you're watching me, you've been on a truth journey. And my whole purpose of being on this channel and doing videos for you guys is because I was divinely led to deliver truth as I found it, as I discovered it, because there's not enough unmanipulated truth out there. And so again, divinely led. Everything that I have as far as content that I pull in, I ask my higher self, is this of my highest and best good to present to the collective? And I get a yes or I get a no. Very, very rarely have I had a no, because I do feel divinely led in my claircognizant of which direction I need to go for information. I'm not a pulling the information down out of the ether and just creating content on my own accord. Like, this is truly coming through a higher source. So as we are now 12 of 12 DNA strands activated, and we have a higher consciousness, we can ask questions to determine whether the people in our immediate circle are of the light. Do they have a soul? Are they one of our guides? Are they negative? Are they witch? Sometimes the answers will surprise you. People in your own nuclear family, sometimes the answers will surprise you. For me, myself, I have decided that if I get a confirmation from my higher self that someone is not in for my greatest good, or worse yet, that they are a negative entity, that they are a witch, or that they don't have a soul, I choose to cut that attachment and put a block up. They will not have any access to my energy field, my etheric body, my aura. Okay, because I have gone through too much in my life, usually at the hands of the very same people, to go through any more. It's a choice. It's an active choice that I'm making to put a healthy boundary up, to say, you know, I am of the light. I am divinely led. I have a mission that Source Creator has given me, and I won't allow any negative entity or someone who is not of my greatest good to derail that. And that's a decision that I've made. But again, whenever you really crave truth and you've been feeling like an untethered balloon, you know, bouncing through, especially the last few years, where really all we really want is the truth, to be able to make a educated decision, you know, this is the answer to that. And it is golden to be able to say, my higher self, does so-and-so have a soul? You know, I found out that my two ex-husbands, neither one of them had a soul. Now, did it surprise me based on their actions? No, it didn't. But I was disappointed in myself for ever allowing them into my life and my children's lives. But then I realized those were lessons I had to learn. Those people were put in my trajectory so that I could, number one, be made stronger and learn the lessons that only you can learn when you're in a battle. Tried and true. So I do ask you to watch that higher self video, practice it. You're going to do there's some like calibration questions that you're going to do. So you learn what your yes and your no looks like, and then go forth empowered with the ability to have the true access to Source Creator. I think that's an amazing gift that we all have now, and it should be capitalized on for sure. The activation will have a very individual effect on people. So if you're actively been in seeking ascension, you've probably done a lot of the shadow work. You've probably done a lot of the addressing your triggers, and you're at a point where your consciousness is going to be more 4D, 5D, where those that really are new to the concept are really not in the awakening yet. They're going to be more 3D in their consciousness. And what do I mean by that? Okay, so in 3D, you have the ego. The ego is your false sense of self. And your ego really drives a lot of the decisions that you make, a lot of the ways you identify yourself as a human being. You're in service of self. You think about how things, the decisions that you make, you think about how it's going to affect you first before others. You live by labels. For me, I was always a nurse. I always labeled myself as a nurse. My human side was never even really considered. You live within the rules and statuses. You know, you're a city dweller, or you live in you're suburbanite, or you're country, or whatever. You have linear thinking. If I do A, I'm going to get B. And if I do A and B, I'm going to get C. Where that also gives you fear-based thinking, because if you don't do A and B, then you won't get C. So that gives you a victim mentality. And all that does is creates fear and negativity and a lower vibration, a lower frequency. There's lots and lots of scientists that have done studies on this. You can Google it, or you can look on YouTube, and you can actually see a lot of the videos where they correlate an emotion with a frequency. So what frequency does fear emit? What frequency does anxiety emit? What frequency does joy emit? And you see it's very, very low when you're in the fear, and it's very, very high whenever you're in love, compassion, joy, kindness. And that's what we want, is to be of a higher frequency, so that we can process things faster, and we function at a faster rate. Another 3D quality is being judgmental, very judgmental. So you'll hopefully get out of 3D quick as possible. And the 4D area is whenever you start to be a conscious being. You start to challenge those old beliefs. You are looking for answers that make sense, not just what's been told to you. You have an understanding of our position in the universe. You're awakening to that connection that we have as a soul being in the universe, that we are not just the beings on Earth that exist in the entire cosmos. Our alignment is to our purpose for being on this planet. Why were we incarnated on this planet? Our purpose is not to work Monday through Friday and give, or whatever your work schedule is, and give all your time, all your energy, all your creativity, all your joy to someone for a paycheck. That's not what we were here for. That's not what any one of us is here for. We're here for a greater mission that is more divinely led and gives our soul joy and happiness and compassion, but also emits it throughout the community. And most JOBs do not do that for us or anybody else. Your compassion increases, your kindness increases. You realize that reality is flexible, that reality no longer fits inside of a box. Your spirituality starts to come in question. You understand that spirituality and religion are two completely different things. And your spirituality is your development of your relationship with your source creator, with your God, and how that affects who you are, that you are a light source, you are an energy source, you are of the light that is inside you from the moment of conception. And we cultivate that relationship. That is spirituality. Okay. It's an inner knowing. It's nothing that comes from an exterior source, an exterior book or a building. That brings upon shadow work that we all have to do from life, from having traumas and emotional scars, and going through the hills and valleys of this 3D matrix, the lessons that we had to learn, the pain that we boxed away and put on the shelf. You have to do that shadow work. You have to transmute that pain to something positive, that friction that changes the things that make your life heavy and oppressive to light and love. You have to do that shadow work. No one can do it for you. And then you have the ego death. Now, our egos don't become non-existent. Ego death means you do the shadow work. You no longer let the ego drive every decision you make in your life. And you become more about who you are as a soul being than the false sense of your ego. So you then will graduate up to 5D. There's most of us are a mix of all of these. In 5D, you have unity consciousness. So you are working for a greater good. You are in service of others. You're aligned with the divine. That's what is paramount to you, that you are walking in your faith, that you are fulfilling your mission. You're heart-centered. You're of a high frequency. You have an appreciation for flow, the flow of life, and abundance becomes redefined. So abundance is no longer like the amount of money you have in your checking account or the kind of car that you drive. For some people, abundance of wealth is translated into getting their time back, not being a slave to a time clock or a corporation, being able to have time with their family, being able to spend time in nature, grounding. So abundance, it gets redefined for you. You have activated abilities. We're all born with abilities. Those abilities have come online as of recently and just need to be practiced, recognized, and practiced. We're not crazy. We, there's many examples of like the savants, the children that graduate medical school at 12, the highly empowered psychics. Those people have one thing in common. They have more than just those 2 strands of DNA activated, and they are a much higher consciousness. So we don't call them crazy. We give them a label that puts them up on a pedestal. Well, we all deserve to live in our truth. And for some people, that truth is that they are claircognizant. They're clairvoyant. They're psychic. They're telepathic. They are divine souls being led on a path of the light. And I can say that wholeheartedly. That's me. And it's really you too. You just have to recognize it and lean into it instead of pushing it away. The higher your frequency gets, the faster you process the lies of the matrix, the faster you can see reality from a narrative that's been pushed out there. You become a very authentic person, and your soul is your true self. So my soul is who I am. I no longer identify with a label that's been put on me. And the propensity to be judgmental falls to the wayside. That's just not part of it. There's a couple of videos I'm going to put in the description box, and they're kind of cerebral, I'll say, but they're 2 different perspectives depending on how you learn. It really drives home the effect of frequency, vibration, and the energy, that how that transmutes our DNA and activates that latent DNA. That, according to what we have experienced in this life, the last decade, especially the last 2 years, really drives home some of the changes that we've experienced in ourselves. Lots of times people have gone through these ascension symptoms and they are now, have abilities, but because of what's going on around us, like, we think we are losing it. And you don't want to talk about anything to anybody because you're afraid you're going to be persecuted. I mean, I get that, but just know that there's more of us that are of the light and going through the DNA activation, the ascension, looking for that true purpose, that divinely led purpose, then you appreciate. I'm led to do these videos because I have a message of truth to put out, And that message of truth will find the ones with eyes to see and ears to hear. My videos in the past have attracted people to me that I find out we have a soul connection. We have a galactic soul connection. And that's been invaluable to me. I can't even put a price on that, because it's validating to them and to me. It really drives home that purpose, that mission that I have been given from Source Creator on what my purpose is on this planet. And we are going to be leaders. We are the leaders of New Earth. Earth is 5D already. We as a people can only be as high frequency as our planet. Our planet, Mother Gaia, has gone through the transitions. She's ascended. She's 5D. We can be that too. I have every now and again, you know, I still use words. I don't use telepathy with everyone. I do have some 4D characteristics still, but I mainly stay in the 5D, and I really like it. 5D Earth is really cool, and it's much more loving, compassionate, and kind than anything I've existed in to date. My circle is very small, and I'm totally okay with that. But part of what I think we're going to do is we're going to transition where, you know, Earth, New Earth, is more about being of light and reverberating that higher frequency and attracting like-minded, like-hearted frequencies to us. And those that are stay in service to self, and those that stay making decisions that are not for the greater good, will find that living on New Earth is very miserable. They will have very intense reactions to being in a lower frequency. And in all intents and purposes, I think that their existence will become so miserable that they'll cease to exist in one way or another. Again, that is for them to make the choice, to do the work, to fully ascend and come online with the rest of us. So just know we are coming up on the fall equinox. That energy started coming in, I believe, yesterday. It lasts through the 26th of September. Historically, that fall equinox tips off a moment where you develop your plan and your next steps for your spring equinox, which is a new beginning. So this is where we're going to align with justice. We're going to align our truth. We're going to surrender to the new beginnings, and then spring equinox will come and bring that on. But part of what the fall equinox means this year is so much energy. It's going to be the final push for people in their ascension. So check out my video on talking to your true higher self. 2 questions I would ask I would ask a lot of questions that you already know the answers to build up confidence in your communication with your higher self. So for me, I always verify my name, and then I ask my higher self, is my name like Jill Smith, to get a no. And then I know what my yeses and my nos look like. And then if you want, you know, you can ask, do I have 12 of 12 strands of DNA activated? If you get a no, say, do I have 11 of 12 strands activated? Do I have 10 of 12 strands activated? If you don't have 10 of 12 strands activated, you're not talking to your true higher self. You're talking to a trickster. And just work on it. Work on allowing, open yourself up to that. Go out in the sun, enjoy some of that solar rays, enjoy some of that solar flash, because it does work in our benefit. It is not nearly as harmful to be in the sun as they have told us. They have wanted us to be out of the sun as much as possible to prevent this actual activation from occurring sooner rather than later. So do that. Ground yourself. Put your feet on Mother Gaia. Ask for that activation to come through, and then talk to your higher self again, see what answers you get. If you get 10 of 12, 11 of 12, or 12 of 12 DNA activated, you're in communion with source. You're in communion with your true higher self. Okay. I would ask if you have any negative entities in your life, try to narrow that down. Your gut's going to guide you on who those people are. Don't be afraid to ask the question. Don't be afraid of the answer, because truth is empowering. The truth will set you free. And a lot of people over the last couple of years have really, really learned the value of truth. Even if we don't like the answer, truth can be respected, and you can make an informed decision based on that answer. And I think that having that connection is going to be a total game changer for all of the people that inhabit planet Earth, because no longer will we be making choices based on false information or things that we were told were true, but really aren't true. When it comes to people coming to you for advice, or they know that you're in tune with source creator or anything like that, maybe someone's going to come to you just out of a frequency attraction, which does happen. You know, I just recommend being a lighthouse. I recommend being the light in the dark for them, where they can find their way. People can only take in so much information at a time. Everyone's journey on this ascension is very unique and very individual. So feel it out, you know, take it a day at a time. And I'll be happy to bring you along my journey. It's quick, and it's definitely divinely led and of the light. Lots of times my Telegram channel link expires. I'm not sure why that expires so fast, but you can always find me. Healing Disclosures on Telegram. Healing Disclosures is my Rumble name. Follow me here. When I post new videos, it'll be here. And then I have some Telegram groups as well. So just reach out. I'll be happy to answer questions for anybody that has them. I ask that you're kind and you're respectful. If anyone's like, you know, attacking or anything like that, harmful, you're just going to be blocked. I don't allow that energy into my energy field. But I thank you for joining me today and for take 2. And I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you next time on Healing Disclosures.